Hello everyone, Edtalksfilm here with another video. And today I will be talking about a new film thing that I got. This isn't a movie review. There will be movie reviews coming. I'm working on a movie review for The Official Story very soon. That's next on my list of movies to review. But today I have something very special to you because I wanted to make this channel more about filmmaking and things that aren't just about movies, but just other film, things that I get. There's tons of products for film nerds and stuff like that. And very recently, I was able to come across something very, very special and very, very awesome, I think, that I would like to share with you guys. And that is the Stanley Kubrick Archives Taschen book, essentially, that is a visual, almost representation of the Stanley Kubrick Archives, and it's a coffee table book that essentially you can have at home, that allows you to experience what is in the Stanley Kubrick Archives if you can't visit. It's a very, very fascinating book. I will be doing an extensive flip through in this video, but without further ado, the Stanley Kubrick Archive.
Although it can be like trying to write War and Peace in a bumper car in an amusement park, when you finally get it right, there are not many joys in life that can equal the feeling.
So guys, this is the Stanley Kubrick Archives Taschen book, made in cooperation with Jan Harlan, Christiane Kubrick, and the Stanley Kubrick estate. This is a hardcover book version of the Stanley Kubrick Archives. It comes with pictures, stills from the film, as well as insightful information and visual versions of the material that Kubrick used when making and researching his films. This is a very fascinating book. Really glad I got it. It's really big and heavy too. Picking it up is actually quite a lot of work. But yeah, let's get through this flip through portion of the video. So I'm going to take off the dust jacket. Inside the dust jacket there's a little bit of basically telling you what is in the book. So we have part one, which is the films. And I'll read a little bit of that to you. In 1968, when Stanley Kubrick was asked to comment on the metaphysical significance of 2001: A Space Odyssey, he replied, "It is not a message I ever intend to convey in words. 2001 is a non-verbal experience. I tried to create a visual experience, one that bypasses verbalized pigeonholing and directly penetrates the subconscious with an emotional and philosophic content. The philosophy behind part one borrows from this line of thinking. From the opening sequence of Killer's Kiss to the final frames of Eyes Wide Shut, Kubrick's complete films are presented chronologically and wordlessly via frame enlargements and completely nonverbal experience." And then part two, the creative process. Divided into chapters chronologically by film, part two brings to life the creative process of Kubrick's filmmaking by presenting a remarkable collection of material from his archives, including photographs, props, posters, artwork, set designs, sketches, correspondence, documents, screenplays, drafts, notes, and shooting schedules. Accompanying the visual material are essays noted by noted Kubrick scholars, articles written by and about Kubrick, and a selection of Kubrick's best interviews. So, I'm going to take that dust jacket off, move it to the side. A little quote on the other side of the dust jacket, which is really just about, which basically just a review, right, about it. And then here, from the editor, Allison Castle received a bachelor's degree in philosophy from Columbia University and a master's in photography and film from New York University, and she's the editor of titles on photography, film, and design, including Some Like It Hot, Stanley Kubrick Archives, Linda McCartney, Life and Photographs, and Mark Newson Works. In the back of the dust jacket, there's just this with a quote, a still of Stanley Kubrick on the set of 2001: A Space Odyssey, seemingly. And now we have the book itself, the Stanley Kubrick Archives. So I'll do a little bit of flip through, tell you what I think about this. So I really loved this opening part, showing the film reels, all packaged up with all the films. We have Doctor Strange Love, Paths of Glory, Barry Lyndon, Eyes Wide Shut, things like that. Really, really cool. They have this nice white Stanley Kubrick Archives page. And then, I'll bring this into frame. I'm not sure if the frame is wide enough to capture all of that. But on this side, we have a picture of Kubrick with a camera. And then on this side, we have the Stanley Kubrick Archives edited by Alison Castle. And then this is sort of the table of contents for the book. So we have part 1, the films, and part 2, the creative process. And then there's a preface. And then we are on to part 1, the films. So this is really cool. Shows, this is just what it said. It shows stills from the films. So this is Kiss Me, Kill Me. This is actually a film I don't think I've seen from Kubrick. Or maybe I have, actually. See, nice, beautiful, high-resolution photography. I really love that these stills are very sharp, very detailed. They, depending on the film stocks used in the film, obviously they can be kind of soft at points, but for the most part it is very sharp and very beautiful looking. We've got The Killing, great Kubrick movie. Flip a little faster. Show some great stills from the film. This is Paths of Glory that we've jumped into. Beautiful photographs. Really love this 2-page spread. Not sure how well you can see all of it on the camera. I love when they do the big full page spreads. Then we have Spartacus, the first one that's in color. So we get these nice vivid colors, very sharp. One of the things I really love about this book is how sharp the images is. This picture would be a lot sharper it'd be nice if they actually didn't do like a 2-page spreads on some of these pictures, but it is what it is. But very, very sharp images. You can see the detail in the grain. Very, very, very awesome. Then we have Lolita. This is actually a Kubrick film I haven't seen. Not familiar with the film Lolita. Something I should watch, something I just haven't gotten around to buying on Blu-ray. Doctor Strange Love, great film by Kubrick. Love a lot of these shots. Love this shot in particular. Love this one. Great performances all around. Specifically Peter Sellers, who plays 3 characters in this film. Love that shot of him as Doctor Strange. Love nice close-up. Then we have the big daddy of the Kubrick films, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Arguably the most iconic of the Kubrick movies. Got the Dawn of Man sequence. Early space stuff. This amazing scene where they find the monolith on the moon. Love that scene a lot. Stills from towards the end of the film. Great, beautiful 2-page spread here. Really, really does it justice. Stills from the Jupiter time dimension sequence. Stills from the end of the film. Got A Clockwork Orange. Great movie. Iconic. Ultraviolet. Now, something to note is that this book, Kubrick movies do get very explicit towards the end of his filmography. And this book does not shy away from showing the nudity that is in these films, as you can see here. But if you are not particularly offended by that, I would say, pick up the book. It's really great. But just be aware it does have the nudity present, uncensored. Which I appreciate because I like the movies for what they are, right? I don't want them to be altered in any way. We're at Barry Lyndon. Love this. Very, very beautiful image from the film. From the battles. I believe Barry Lyndon takes place during the 7 Years' War. Another beautiful spread. One full page. Very awesome. Another beautiful one. Barry Lyndon may be the most beautifully photographed Kubrick movie. The Shining. Iconic Kubrick film. One of the most iconic horror movies of all time. Beautiful big 2-page spreads. I love how, for the most part, they preserve the aspect ratio of these images. Really, really enjoy that. Kubrick shot the film in 4:3, so it is mostly preserved in a lot of these stills. Some of them not, obviously, but for the most part, it is preserved. But it seems like they do a good job at keeping the 4:3 preserved throughout this entire book. Love this. Very, very iconic sequence from the film. And that, again, beautiful, lovely, sharp images on these in this book. This is some very high quality printing that they did with this book. I'm very, very impressed by that. Full Metal Jacket. Again, iconic war film. Beautiful stills. Eyes Wide Shut. I recently was watching a lot of Kubrick movies with a friend of mine. She had never seen any Kubrick movie except for The Shining and 2001: A Space Odyssey, but it had ultimately been a while since she really hadn't delved into any other Kubrick's work, and we watched a lot of them. And Eyes Wide Shut actually ended up being her favorite out of all the ones that we had rewatched. I actually found this movie a little slightly less enjoyable the second time I had seen it. Again, very good job at preserving the aspect ratios of this film. On Showtime, when they have this film specifically, it is shown in its 4:3 unaltered, which I really, really appreciate that they streamed the film like that, because most of the time, in all the other digital versions and even on the Blu-ray, it is 16 by 9, made to just fit the screen, which I think is unfortunate because there's so much information on the top and the bottom of these frames that make them a lot more beautiful to look at. And now we're at part 2, the creative process. Ultimately, the portion of the book that I think is the most fascinating, because as you can see, it has the amazing little pieces of information, film cells, portfolio, right? Things research done for these films, behind the scenes information as well through these paragraphs where you can read and essentially see what the process of the film is like. And I had been reading some of this. I was reading the Full Metal Jacket section of this whole book, and I found it very fascinating, just learning about the film and the process. And as you see, you go through script pages. Really think that's cool. I love looking at scripts and reading scripts. So it's always very fascinating to see script pages. Again, high-res images as well. Storyboards. Really love that. Storyboard scripts. And it's like that for virtually all of the films that are shown here. And great, beautiful presentation by film. Color images. Interviews with Kubrick himself, something that I think is, a must to read if you are going to essentially be looking at this as something to buy. I bought this book personally because I love filmmaking. I am an aspiring filmmaker, and Kubrick is one of my favorite directors, so being able to have something like this that can show the process of a master, it allows you to read it. You can learn a lot and take away a lot from what you are looking at, which I think is very important, especially to people who are interested in film and want to know more about film. We get to 2001, the image that's on the back of the book. Again, beautiful multi-page images. This is absolutely stunning and gorgeous. Love the colors, love the composition, love that it's a 2-page spread. Even though, yes, we do lose information, it is still very beautiful to look at. Images from A Clockwork Orange. Love this set photos. Stuff from Barry Lyndon. Very particularly beautiful and stunning page. Script pages again. Notes. They make note of in this book of the different card stocks and stationery that Kubrick would use. He would use a variety of very unique stationery to make notes for his films. The Shining, very beautiful. What I love about this is that there's more that they allow you to see in this book that isn't just in the beginning of the film. In the beginning, part 1, they still will show you more stills of the film. Particularly iconic picture of Kubrick and his daughter. Things from Full Metal Jacket. This is what I was talking about with the card stock that Kubrick would use to make notes, points. Poster from the film. Artwork. Very particularly beautiful piece from that section of the film, if you guys know what I'm talking about, if you've seen the movie. Eyes Wide Shut. And yeah, when you read all this stuff, it tells you lots of background information. Every single image is labeled here in bold, so you are able to see exactly what you are looking at and understand what's going on in each of these images. Very, very helpful. This is particularly awesome to see. Just Kubrick working, Tom Cruise, the whole set, and the people involved. It's amazing the collaborative effort that is making a film and just being able to see what goes into it. And now in the back, this is one of the most special portions of this book, is in Appendix A, right? There's 3 appendices in this book. The first appendix is projects that Kubrick hadn't finished. And they touch on the Napoleon film, AI, and his film, The Aryan Papers. Now, I particularly love this section. This section on Napoleon, while I haven't read it yet, is something that I'm very particularly interested in, because I'm very fascinated with history, and Napoleon is a figure in history that I am also drawn to and I find interesting. And this is just interesting because Napoleon was the Kubrick film that, was supposed to be this big epic, right? It was going to surpass Barry Lyndon and all of his other films in terms of scope and the scale of it. And unfortunately, it wasn't able to be done because it cost so much money, amongst other issues. And you can just see the amount of detail and time that went into Kubrick's research of this film. The costumes, this was something that was going to be, it was going to be an event. And unfortunately, it had to be canceled. AI, a film that, Kubrick, that eventually Stanley Kubrick ended up directing. And then we have the Aryan Papers. And then we have essays, that were written about the films. So this is a very fascinating section because you get to read some, essentially, film critics talking about Kubrick, about his films. And from the people who actually worked with Kubrick as well. And then Appendix C, the chronology. This is more or less a biography of Kubrick's life in pictures and bullet points and specific highlights of his time. From his time as a kid in New York, working as a photographer, into his journey into film, pictures of his daughters, his wife, winning his own single and only Oscar. Yeah. And that is it. That is the flip through of the Kubrick Archives Taschen book. So there you go. That is the flip through of this book. To review this book, this is a very, very fascinating piece of literature for anybody who is a big time film buff, as well as anybody who really, really is a big fan of Stanley Kubrick, or even an aspiring filmmaker. One of the greatest things about this book is not only the great high quality stills that are shown right to you while you're reading this book and enjoying what's in it, but it is also the supplementary material that comes in part 2, where you are allowed to learn about the production of each of these films, to see the notes that Kubrick wrote, to see pages of the screenplay, right? To get a better understanding of what making these films was like. That's something that's very, very important to me, and that's one of the big reasons why I got this book, because it's not just a coffee table book where you flip through it and you just look at pictures. This has vital and valuable information to anybody who's a film nerd, a Kubrick nerd, a filmmaker, right? This can do very good at helping you, right, understand movies better, help you make movies better, because there's a lot of information in here that is vital to understanding the production of a film, and maybe it can give you some great ideas, right? And from the master himself, Stanley Kubrick, somebody who will go down in the Bible of film. Arguably, he's already in there. And this book does just a phenomenal job at presenting all that in a very easy to read way, in a way that is very visually appealing. That's one of my favorite things about this book, is this book is just so beautiful to look at. It's the cover art may not seem like much, but when you open this book and when you read this book, it is just absolutely mind-blowing just how gorgeous it is, from the high-res stills to looking at the presentation of how they present the screenplay pages and just the essays that are in there, right? The various pictures of Kubrick and the on-set locations, and taking a deeper look at what it was like to be a part of, ultimately, many of the greatest films of all time. And that makes this book very, very worth it. It's very, very worth it to me to have owned this book. I highly recommend this book. I got this at Barnes & Noble's for about $25, which I think is a steal for what you're getting in here. This is a huge book. It's got amazing information in it. Huge, beautiful, high quality, very detailed, sharp images from the films. That'll make anybody jealous, right? It's so beautiful just to look at. I just wanted to take the time to share this book with you, show you a little bit of something I got. I want to be able to add a lot of these things, right? Make this a channel that isn't just about, reviewing movies, but film nerdiness in general, right? There's tons of film books I would love to read, that I want to read, that I'm working on getting through right now, and getting to. So, I want to be able to add some more of these things inside of this channel. And I think this book is something very specifically a good place to start, because it is such a phenomenal book about such a phenomenal creator, if you will. Stanley Kubrick is a name that will forever, right, be in the annals of history. Not only just for film, but history itself, because he changed so much through his films. I thank you guys for watching this video. I thank you guys for hopefully enjoying that flip through of the book if you're unable to buy it, which is part of the reason why I did that, because I do want other people to be able to at least see and get somewhat of a little bit of an experience of what this book can offer you, and hopefully maybe drive you to get it, because it is particularly cheap, I would say, for a book of this size and a book of this much value. I would say that $25 is very, very affordable. Thank you guys for watching, listening, enjoying this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.